Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum class. The topic is again cell structure. The next is the cell membrane. Membrane in biology, the thin layer that forms the outer boundary of a living cell or of an internal cell compartment. The outer boundary is the plasma membrane, and the compartments enclosed by the internal membranes are called the organelles. Biological membranes have three primary functions. Number one, they keep the toxic substances out of the cell. Number two, they contain the receptors and channels that allow the specific molecules, such as the ions, nutrients, waste, and metabolic products that mediate the cellular and extracellular activities to pass between the organelles and between the cell and outside the environment. And number three, they separate vital but incompatible metabolic processes conducted within the organelles. Membranes consist largely of a lipid bilayer, which is a double layer of phospholipid, cholesterol, and glycolipid molecules that contain chains of fatty acids and determines whether a membrane is formed into long, flat sheets or round vesicles. Lipid give cell membranes a fluid character with a consistency approaching that of a light oil. The fatty acid chain allows many small fat-soluble molecules such as oxygen to permeate the membrane, but they repel the large water-soluble molecules such as sugar and electrically charged ions such as the calcium. Embedded in the lipid bilayer are large proteins, many of which transport ions and water-soluble molecules across the membrane. Some proteins in the plasma membranes form the open pores called the membrane channels, which allow the free diffusion of the ions into and out of the cell. Other binds to a specific molecules on one side of membrane and transports the molecules to the other side. Sometimes one protein simultaneously transports two types of molecules in opposite direction. Most plasma membranes are about 50% protein by weight, while the membranes of some metabolically active organelles are 75% protein. Attached to proteins on the outside of the plasma membrane are long carbohydrate molecules. Actually, this chapter is related to the chapter number 4, in which we will inshallah discuss in detail about the membranes. This is the structure of cell membrane. Okay, I'm going to describe it. Actually, this is the phospholipid. This structure is phospholipid. It represents a lipid molecule, and there are two layers of lipids. So that's why this is called lipid bilayer. You can see over there that this is a polar head and this is a long hydrocarbon chain which is actually non-polar. So the polar head, which is hydrophilic, it means that it has the affinity with water, is facing towards the water over there outside the cell and inside the cell, whereas the non-polar tail is actually not facing towards the water. So this is the lipid bilayer, and there are protein molecules over there. Some proteins are in between the lipid bilayer, just like they are in a mosaic manner, over there. So such kind of proteins are called the intrinsic protein, which are in the membrane like this. They may be integral protein, they may be channel protein, they may be carrier protein. There are some membrane protein which are on the side or above the surface, so they are called the extrinsic proteins. So again, there are some molecules of cholesterol over there which is actually responsible for the purity of the membrane. And there are also the glycoproteins. Glyco mean the carbohydrates, and protein. Actually, carbohydrates and proteins are two different kind of organic compounds, but when they combine together they are called the conjugated molecules. So glycoproteins are present over there, and also there can be glycolipid. Glyco for carbohydrate and lipid of course for lipid. So these are also the example of the conjugated molecules. So they are present on the surface of the membrane just like the antennas, and these structures, they form the glycocalyx, glycoprotein and glycolipid, which are present on the surface of the membrane, are called the glycocalyx. Inshallah, we will discuss it in chapter number 4. Next is the cell wall. You can see the structure over there. uh, there are actually, as a model, three neighboring plant cells. So they contain the inner structure in the form of the, you can say, the cell. And this one is the primary cell wall, which is the outermost, and this represents the secondary cell wall, and this represents the plasmodesmata, that is a connection, an open connection between the neighboring cells, which connect the neighboring cells, and this structure is called the middle lamella. So these are the outer layers of the cell wall. Now when we study the structure in detail, this is the primary cell wall, which is this there one, this one. So this is the composition of the primary cell wall, which is made up of pectin and cellulose and microfibrils and some kind of other kind of hemicellulose molecules. And this is the layer of the plasma membrane, and this is the middle lamella. So this is the detailed structure of the cell wall. The cell wall is present in the plant cell in the form of the main structure. The main molecules are of cellulose. In case of the bacterial cell, they are made up of the peptidoglycan, and in case of the fungal cell, they are made up of chitin. So over there, the cellulose microfibrils are arranged in crisscross manner, which is responsible for giving the strength to the cell wall. Now the functions of the cell wall, they determine the morphology, growth, and development of the plant cells. They protect the protoplasm from invasion by the viral, bacterial, and fungal pathogens. They are rigid structures, and they thus help the plant in withstanding the gravitational forces involved in the transport of materials and metabolites into and out of the cell, and withstand the turgor pressure which develops within the cell due to high osmotic pressure. Now the next one is the cytoplasm. Actually, you know that protoplasm is the living content of the cell, and the protoplasm is made up of cytoplasm plus nucleoplasm. So the cytoplasm is the area which is present between the cell membrane or the cell wall, cell membrane and the nuclear membrane. This is the whole area of cytoplasm. So it contains many soluble, insoluble, and suspended molecules in it, and it also contains organelles in it. So it aids in the movement of genetic material and products of cellular respiration within the cell. It helps to fill out the cell and keep the organelles in their place. It gives the cell its shape. It aids to dissolve waste products. Now the vacuole. Uh, in case of the plant cell, the vacuole is very large and single and central. But in case of the animal cell, The vacuole are many, and they are small vacuoles. The the vacuole of the plant cell, its membrane is called the tonoplast, and this vacuole is along with the cell wall is very important in maintaining the turbulent pressure inside the cell. The main functions of the vacuole are to store the water and salts, proteins and carbohydrates, and it's a sac-like structure. Plant cells have one large central vacuole, and animal cells have many small vacuoles. The next one is the chloroplast. The lamella act like the skeleton of the chloroplast, maintaining the distance between the thylakoids over there. These are the structure. The stroma is the space outside the thylakoid membranes. It is the location of the Calvin cycle in which organic compounds are formed, such as the glucose. The inner space of the chloroplast is called stroma, and the outer covering is the envelope. And there are many thylakoids, the coin-like structure, and they stalk together to form a granum. So this is the granum. The thylakoids they contain the photosystems, clusters of pigments and proteins that absorb the light energy, and are found in the sac-like photosynthetic membranes called the thylakoids, and these are joined together with the help of lamella. Okay. Actually, these structures are responsible, the thylakoids are responsible for capturing the light, as they contain the chlorophyll. So the chlorophyll, which is responsible for capturing the light, it actually it is involved in the light reaction, or it is involved in the light dependent reaction. We will discuss in later on in A2 about this. So the stroma, which is responsible for the light independent reactions, so which is actually responsible for making the food. This is the overall structure of the chloroplast. Along with these structure, the chloroplast is a self-replicating organelle, so it also contains its DNA. The chloroplast has its own ribosome, that is 70S. Actually, that is actually just like the ribosomes of the bacteria. So the next one is the endosymbiotic theory. Actually, the symbiosis is a relationship between the two organism in which both partners get the mutual benefit. So there is a theory that for the formation of the organelles inside the cell. Enfoldings in the plasma membranes of an ancestral cell gave rise to endomembrane components, including a nucleus and the endoplasmic reticulum. So they are saying that there is a proto-eukaryotic cell, and inside that cell there is a kind of enfoldings of membrane, so there is a formation of organelles. Number two, in our first endosymbiotic event, the ancestral eukaryote consumed aerobic bacteria that evolved into the mitochondria. Aerobic bacteria mean that bacterium is responsible for making the energy as it consumes the oxygen. So it is in association with a simple eukaryotic cell. So when it enters inside that cell, that will serve as the mitochondria in that cell. So they are saying that mitochondria might be evolved in such a way. So the next one is in a second endosymbiotic event, the early eukaryote consumed the photosynthetic bacteria that evolved into the chloroplast. So they are saying that The photosynthetic bacterium has the pigments, so it enters inside the eukaryotic cell and it resides over there in the form of the chloroplast for making the food for that eukaryotic cell, and in turns it is getting the shelter or housing from that cell. So this is the modern photosynthetic eukaryote. So this whole theory is called the endosymbiotic theory. That might be wrong or right, we can't decide, but they are saying like this, that this is a kind of theory. So that's why they are having the mitochondria and the chloroplast, they are having the same kind of ribosome as the bacteria has. So they are having the 70s ribosomes. Now the cytoskeleton, it's a network of long protein strands located in the cytosol, that is a soluble part of the cytoplasm. It provides an internal shape and support to the cells in the form of the microfilaments and microtubules. It is found in both the kind of cells, animals and plant cells. Actually, these microtubules are also responsible for the transport inside the cell. So these tubules are formed, the microtubules are formed by the protein tubulin. There are, this is in the form of the tubulin dimer. There are two kinds of tubulin, alpha and beta. They join together in the form of dimer, and we can see here in the form of the cross sections, and there are strand like structures like this. So this is actually making the internal skeleton, that is called the cytoskeleton of the cell, which is responsible for the shaping of the cell inside, from inside, and the support to the cell, and which is also responsible for the transport of material inside the cell. Now the centrioles. Centrioles are the organelles which are only active during the cell division, and they produce spindle fibers which attach to the chromosomes, and the fibers pull a copy of each chromosome to opposite side of the cell, so that when it splits, each new daughter cell has all the DNA it needs. Here is the uh, you can say the centriole, and the centriole is pulling the chromosome to opposite poles, so for the separation of the chromosome from this point at the point of centromere. So actually these thread like structure between the two poles are also the microtubules, which we have done early. So what are the centrosome? Near the nucleus, it functions to organize the microtubules for cell division and to create the microtubules to make the cytoskeleton. In cell division, the centrioles replicate and the centrosome divides to create two separate centrosomes, and the two centrosomes move to an opposite side of the nucleus, and each of the microtubules become spindles and separate the chromosome, which will turn into another. Actually, there are uh, two centrioles at right angle to each other, made up of the microtubules like this, and you can see over there these microtubules are actually 9 in number, in the form of each with in the form of a triplet of microtubule. So they are arranged in at the right angle to each other, and the whole location is called centrosome. So in a centrosome, in that location, two centrioles are present at right angle to each other, responsible for the separation of cells. Now, what are the ribosomes? Uh, Actually, ribosomes, the cells have tiny granular structures known as the ribosomes. They are actually non-membrane bounded organelles, also called the ribonucleoprotein particles, and this serves as the workbenches with messenger RNA acting as the blueprint in the process of the protein synthesis. So they are helpful in the process of protein synthesis, and the nucleolus is the factory of the ribosomes, and the ribosomes are the factory for protein synthesis. This is the larger subunit, and this is the smaller subunit of the ribosome. And there are two types of ribosomes due to their location. Membrane bounded ribosome, which are attached with the rough endoplasmic reticulum, synthesize proteins for membranes, and exocytosis use outside the cells attached to endoplasmic reticulum and the organelles. And free ribosomes in cytoplasm synthesize a protein that function inside the cytosol and use inside the cell, for example, food metabolism. What is the cell fractionation? This is a technique that is useful for studying the cell structure and function of the cellular structures. Make the cell apart and separates the organelles and other subcellular structures. Equipment used in centrifuge, and principle is to spin the samples with different speeds that isolate the cell organelles, and samples are placed in tubes where after centrifugation pellet is formed at the bottom of the tube. You can see over there that this is the homogenization with a kind of a milkshake like jug, and this is the homogenate, and it is the differential centrifugation, and after that the pellets are arranged in the form of the layers, so we can separate the layers according to their density. For example, the heavy kind of material, just like the DNA, the nucleus of the cell, that is towards the bottom, and the all the kind of organelles are arranged in the form of the layers according to their density or molecular weight. Or for example, at the top there will be ribosome or lysosomes, so we can separate the layers, and then for example at the top there is the ribosome layer, so we will separate the ribosome layer, and then we will study that ribosome layer under the electron microscope. Now, what is the structure of bacteria? It always it contain the it's a prokaryote. It's a prokaryote. It contains the outer cell wall made up of peptidoglycan called the murein. It has the ribosome, that is 70S. It contains the cytoplasm, it contains the cell membrane, it contains the DNA, which is falsely called the chromosome. Actually, the chromosome is made up of the DNA and protein and small traces of RNA, whereas the DNA, a chromosome of bacteria always contain the DNA, not the protein, and that is haploid structure. Actually, the DNA is not enclosed inside the nuclear envelope, so that's why that region which contains the DNA is called the nucleide. It is not called the nucleus, that is called the nucleide, because this is a prokaryotic cell that has no definite nucleus or no well membrane bounded organelles. Sometime it may contain the extra layer or over it, that is called the capsule. The capsule is actually very helpful for those bacteria which are pathogens, which are disease causing, because the capsule is very helpful for them, so that they are not harmed by the host enzyme or immune system. So the next one is the flagella. Sometimes they may contain the flagella, the extra chromosomal ring, the plasmid. Sometimes it is also present in some bacteria, and the plasmid is responsible for the antibiotic resistance. What is the virus? Actually, the virus is a microscopic infectious agent. It is found in almost all life forms. It can only replicate inside the living cells of organism. Its study is called virology, and it infects the host cells to reproduce. It is actually the learn to adapt to immune system. Viruses are much more difficult to treat than bacteria. They're smaller in size than bacteria, and you can see over there. This is the model structure of the viruses. The outer protein coat is made up of many units called capsids. Outer protein coat is called the capsid, made up of the capsomeres, the protein units, and the inner DNA in the form of uh, sorry, in the form of the nucleus in the form of DNA or RNA. Not both are present. One is present, and sometimes they are enveloped with help of extra protein. So there may be a virus that is called envelope, or there may be a virus that is non-enveloped. So this is the virus. Mostly they are infectious. Now the difference between the prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell. Size of the cell is very small, and the size is larger in eukaryotic. No nuclear membrane or nucleoli in bacteria prokaryotic cell. True nucleus is present in the eukaryotic cell. No membrane enclosed organelles, whereas organelles are present just like the lysosomes, Golgi complex, endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, and chloroplast in the eukaryotic cell. Flagella is over there, and they have that is simple. Complex consists of multiple microtubules, just in the form of the centrioles or the cytoskeleton. Glycocalyx in the form of the capsule, and it is in the form of the present in some cell that lack a cell wall in the form of you can say the glycolipids or glycoproteins. Cell wall is usually present, and in the form of peptidoglycan, whereas in the eukaryotic cell that is chemically simple, just like the cellulose. Plasma membrane, no carbohydrates, and generally lacks the sterols, whereas sterols and carbohydrates that serve as the receptors present in the eukaryotic cell. Cytoplasm is there is no cytoplasmic streaming or no cytoskeleton, whereas cytoskeleton is present. Ribosomes are smaller in size of 70s, and actually S is the Svedberg unit when we use the technique of self-fractionation. So they are larger size 80s, and smaller size are also present in the form of the chloroplast and mitochondria. Chromosomes are single circular chromosome, lack the histone protein only in the form of DNA, whereas the chromosomes in eukaryotic cell are in the form of DNA and protein. So the cell division is binary fission, dividing into two, whereas in eukaryotic cell it could be mitosis or meiosis. Sexual reproduction is mostly missing, and only transfer of DNA fragments, that is called the conjugation, whereas in eukaryotic cell meiosis is there.